I caught my fiancée at 2 a.m. texting her ex, "Miss you so much. Wish we could be together." She was next to me in bed. I took a photo of her screen. Then I went back to sleep. When she woke up, and I'd already sent the photo to her parents, her sister, and the wedding venue, everything in her face collapsed like someone had yanked the floor out from under her. And I swear I've never seen shock look so physical before, like her soul hit a wall she didn't know existed. And I just sat there on the corner of the bed tying my shoes with this weird calm that didn't feel like numbness exactly, but more like my body had decided to protect me by lowering the emotional volume to 0 so I could process what was happening without falling apart. Because the moment I saw those words glowing on her screen at 2:03 a.m., the soft blue light, her thumb hovering over the next message, her little smile she probably didn't even realize she was making, I knew instantly, with this almost cruel clarity, that our entire relationship had ended right there, silently, with me still pretending to be asleep, while she poured her heart out to a man she once swore was out of her life forever. And maybe some people would have shaken her awake or grabbed the phone or made a scene. But something colder took over me. Something focused. Something that said, don't react. Don't cry. Collect evidence. Protect yourself. So I opened my camera on the blanket, angled it, snapped a photo of the screen. Miss you so much. Wish we could be together. I hate pretending. His reply above it. Soon. Just keep things steady until the right time. Does he suspect anything? And her earlier message I hadn't even seen yet. No, he's asleep. He trusts me too much. That one hit like a punch straight into the ribs, and I don't know how I didn't gasp, but I just saved the photo, quietly emailed it to myself so it couldn't be deleted, set the phone down, turned on my side, and let my breathing settle into something slow. And even while she kept typing in these bursts of emotion like she'd forgotten, I existed entirely. And maybe that was the worst part. Not the cheating itself, but the casualness, the ease with which she talked about me like I was some gullible placeholder, a temporary body keeping the bed warm until her fantasy with her ex, Evan, finally lined up with reality. I waited until her screen dimmed and she rolled over to sleep, and that was when something in me hardened completely. Not angry, not sad, just done. At 2:17 a.m., I got out of bed, went to the kitchen, opened my laptop, and in the same quiet stillness that comes when snow muffles the world, I sent a photo with short message to her parents, her sister, and the wedding coordinator. The wedding is canceled. Please see attached. I didn't add anything else because honestly there was nothing left to say. I drafted 2 vendor cancellation emails, scheduled a time to call the venue in the morning, and booked a consultation with a family attorney for a few days later, just in case things got messy with deposits. I even set aside my tuxedo rental bag by the door so I could return it first thing. There was a strange efficiency in me, like heartbreak had turned into momentum, and part of me wonders if it was adrenaline or survival instinct or just 18 months of ignoring red flags suddenly organizing themselves into one coherent command. Leave. Protect your dignity. Don't let her spin this. When she woke up around 7:40 a.m., rubbing her eyes, hair all messy in the way I used to think was cute, she reached for her phone with that slow morning confusion people have, and then she saw the notifications. Her mom, her sister, the venue, and 3 unread emails bouncing between her inbox and mine, and she froze. Her whole body stiffened, her breath caught, and then she turned to me with this look like I'd betrayed her, which almost made me laugh because the absurdity of her acting offended was so surreal I didn't even feel human for a second. "What did you do?" she whispered, voice trembling like she was a victim. And I just looked at her calmly and said, "I canceled the wedding." She clutched the phone like it was a lifeline she could squeeze truth back into. But the screenshot was staring right at her, the messages she sent less than 6 hours earlier glowing like a confession she'd never meant anyone but him to see. She started crying almost instantly. Big, fast tears, the kind she used when she wanted sympathy, and she reached for my arm, but I stepped back, and something in her broke at that, like she expected me to crumble or yelling or beg for an explanation, but I didn't offer her any emotional foothold. "Please, Noah, please," she kept saying, repeating my name like it had power, like history alone could undo what she wrote to another man, and she launched into this frantic explanation about being stressed, being overwhelmed, needing reassurance, claiming it was just emotional venting and that she never meant it, and she even said the phrase you never want to hear from a cheating partner. It wasn't real. I was just confused. I told her, "Show me the rest of the conversation." And instantly she shut down, pulled the phone closer, said, "You're invading my privacy," which would have been funny if it hadn't been so pathetic, because she didn't care about privacy 5 hours before when she used my trust as her emotional playground. Her sister called next, and I answered because I didn't want her rewriting the story. I simply said, "Check your text messages." Her sister, Emily, went quiet after a long inhale. Her mom called next and accused me of overreacting and ruining my fiancé's life over a moment of weakness, which only confirmed that whatever accountability genes existed in that family were exclusively stored in the father. Speaking of him, he called around 10 a.m., and his voice was tired, heavy, the kind of disappointed exhaustion that doesn't come out of anger but grief. He said, "I'm so sorry, son. You didn't deserve this." I said I appreciated it. He asked if I wanted him to come pick her up. I said yes. When he showed up, she ran to him crying hysterically, and he didn't even hug her back at first, just handed her a tissue and said quietly, "You need to stop." She kept insisting. It didn't mean anything, Dad, I swear. But her dad wasn't stupid. He'd seen the messages. He knew "miss you so much." "Wish we could be together" wasn't exactly the phrasing of a casual emotional slip. As they packed her things, she kept trying to approach me, trying to touch my arm, trying to say we could work on this, that it was just a mistake, that she felt disconnected. And I finally said, "You don't get to call something a mistake if you were planning a future with him." She cried harder. Her dad closed the door behind her and stayed a moment. He told me he'd reimburse me for the wedding deposits I'd lose. I told him he didn't have to. He said, "I know, but I'm going to." After they left, the silence in the apartment felt like a physical presence. Not heavy, but final. I cleaned the kitchen, stripped the bed, returned the tux, canceled the florist, and by noon I told my parents everything. My mother cried. My father didn't. He just said, "Better now than 10 years and with kids." And he was right, even if part of me hated that he was. Over the next 2 days, she sent long messages, pages basically saying she was sorry, that she wanted to fix things, that she'd made a huge mistake, that she'd block her ex, that she was ready to choose me fully. But the funny thing about betrayal is once you've read the words someone writes when they think you're asleep, the version of them you love doesn't exist anymore. And her ex even had the nerve to message me once, saying something like, "It wasn't what you think, man," which was hilarious because I had literal evidence, but I didn't respond. There was nothing worth engaging. The fallout was messy. Her mom posted some vague Facebook nonsense about people acting rashly and relationships needing forgiveness, which only made her look unhinged. Her sister apologized to me privately, said she hoped I'd meet someone better, someone honest. Her father sent the reimbursement like he promised, and she spiraled. She moved to stay with a friend 2 states over. She tried emailing me again and again, but I stopped reading after the second one. And at night, sometimes my mind would replay the moment I saw her smiling at her phone, whispering to man she wished she was with instead of me, and I'd feel this strange mix of heartbreak and relief, like my chest was cracked open, but air was finally flowing through it. I started therapy. I went back to the gym. I spent more time with my siblings. I unfollowed her family on everything. People asked if I hated her, and the truth is no. Hate requires energy. What I felt was more like closure delivered in the most brutal but efficient way possible. Now it's been months. She reached out again last week through a new number, saying she still loves me, that she's changed, that she wants to talk just once. And I didn't reply, because the reality is simple. Once someone makes you feel like a placeholder in your own life, you don't go back. You can't. Not if you respect yourself. And for the first time in a long time, I do.